World a better place by listening to the Joy of Living podcast. This is your guide to achieving a more purposeful, powerful, and positive life. Join Barry Shore in unlocking the best version of you and becoming happier, healthier, and wealthier. And now, here's your ambassador of joy, Barry Shore.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good in abundance, overflowing. You're going to be amazed at today's show and who we have, what we're going to be doing, and it'll be transformational for you. And that's really why you tuned in, because you care the most in the entire world about you. Y-O-U. And that's great, because when you become the best you make the world a better place. It's called enlightened self-interest. And we love it that you are here, and the you around the world now numbers over 320,000 people every week. And thankfully, I'm humbled and honored that you invite your friends and your family. So by the time we introduce our amazing guest, Venkat, we'll have over 350 plus thousand people listening, leaning in, and finding the pearls that you will be able to utilize in your life to become the best you. And the result will be that you'll be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that, right? So you know that on this show, The Joy of Living, we work with the three fundamentals of life. And these three fundamentals are, number one, life. Your life has purpose. And when you lead a purpose-driven life, you can have number two. Now, in this case, a good number two, and you will go MAD. Now, MAD is a wonderful acronym that stands for make a difference. You lead a purpose-driven life, you make a difference in the world. And the third fundamental is to uncover the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms. Simplest example, www. If you ask anybody what does it stand for, invariably they'll tell you it has to do with the internet. And factually speaking, they're correct. But in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant, www stands for what a wonderful world. And what is a word, right? And if ever you hear the opening bars of that wonderful song that was given to us by Louis Armstrong Satchmo, you hear the opening bars right away. What do? You smile. You can't help it. And that song has touched not just tens of millions or hundreds of millions, but billions of people around the planet who go around singing, what a wonderful world. And whenever you hear it, you can smile. Now, smile is one of the most important words you could ever internalize, utilize, and leverage in your life, because smile is an acronym that stands for seeing miracles in life every day. Seeing miracles in life every day. Now, I got to tell you, when I speak to groups, and thank God because COVID is over now and beginning to talk to people again, the last group I spoke with, over 5,000 people in the audience, and I'm telling the story about Barry Shore and about seeing miracles in life every day, raising their hand and say, hey, Barry Shore, I've been out for hours, I haven't seen any miracles. And I asked them, are you here? Can you hear? Can you stand still? I can't. Can you walk? I can barely do that. Do you have water to drink, food to eat, a place to sleep, family, friends? Every single one of those is a miracle. And what's the proof? Simple as proof. 1 million people didn't get out of bed this morning. You know why? They died. By definition, if you're watching, you're listening, you didn't. So you have an obligation to live exuberantly. Now imagine the following. Imagine standing up in the morning, hale and hearty, that's me, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound, and that evening be in the hospital totally, completely paralyzed. Not an automobile accident, not a spinal injury, a rare disease took over my body and rendered me what's called a quadriplegic. Everything from my neck down, completely, totally paralyzed. 144 days in the hospital. I was in a hospital bed in my own home for 2 years. I couldn't turn over by myself. 4 years in a wheelchair. I had braces on both my legs, from my hips to my ankles, and that was progress. Thank God today I'm able to be vertical and ambulatory with the help of a 7-foot walking wand. I still can't walk up a stair by myself. I can't walk up a curb by myself. And I've helped 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But you hear my voice. Positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. All because of this one word, smile. Seeing miracles in life every day. But I got to tell you a quick story. Just realized my 8-year-old niece comes over to me a few weeks ago and she says, Uncle Barry, can we spell smile S-M-I-E-L? And I thought about smiles. Sounds the same. Why not? I asked her, how come? She says, because then it would stand for seeing miracles in everyday life. Out of the mouth of babes, an 8-year-old. But what was she doing? She was creating the kind of world that she wants to live in. Now, CREATE is a wonderful acronym that stands for causing rethinking, enabling all to excel, because your thoughts are under your control. We call it neuro-linguistic programming, but you're the one who's in control of your thoughts. And these are the 6 most important words that you'll ever be able to utilize, internalize, and leverage in your life. And they are choice, not chance, determines your destiny. Choice, not chance, determines your destiny. How you respond in any given situation is up to you. So I want to just make mention that interrupt myself and warn you in advance that your humble host does use a lot of 4-letter words. I even use the 4-letter FU word because of the shock value and it's fun. Now, of course, the 4-letter words that we use, because we live in the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, pleasant, are love, life, hope, free, gift, play, pray, swim. They're all 4-letter words. And the 4-letter FU word is fun. Fun, yes, F-U, capital N, capital N. Now, right away, people raise their hands and say, hey, Barry Shore. Fun's only spelled with 3 letters. Not in our world, the world of the positive, purposeful, powerful, and pleasant. Fun is spelled F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, when you see your family and your friends, and you have a smile on your face, remember that stands with a twinkle in your eye. You point your finger and say, F-U, everybody. But remember to add right away, capital N, capital N. So where'd you get that? I said, I listened to The Joy of Living with Barry Shore, and he wants to teach the world to F you, capital N, capital N, allow you to create a conversation. What did you learn? Well, wait till you hear what you're going to learn from amazing Venkat, and you'll be transformed by his stories, his interactions, his ability to disrupt and bring about benefit in the world. That's really the key to living in life, isn't it? Remember, live your life with purpose and go mad, go make a difference. He's a madman. But before we bring him on, I just want to urge everybody to do the following. For the people who are here every week, you know this, and thank you. You've been using it. I get emails from you all the time, how it helps you and your family and your friends and all living beings. But for the new people, I'm going to urge you to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day from now forward for the rest of your life. And these 2 words are, drum roll, fanfare, da-da, da-da. Thank you. Thank stands for to harmonize and network kindness. To harmonize and network kindness. The Dalai Lama has been quoted saying, I read in his writing, be kind whenever possible. And as he says, it's always possible. So imagine you go into your coffee shop, you order a fancy latte, you sit down, somebody brings it to you, say, thank you. You walk in the coffee shop, you order a fancy latte, a few minutes go, nobody brings it. You go to the counter and say, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot, we'll bring it to you. And sit down, a couple of minutes go by, somebody brings it, you still say, thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop, it's raining out. Somebody holds the door open for you. You say, thank you. You're walking out of the coffee shop, it's raining out. Somebody slams the door on you. You say, thank you. You're in traffic, you're late for an appointment. Somebody cuts you off. You say, thank you. You get up in the middle of the night and you stub your toe and it hurts. You say, thank you. To harmonize and network kindness. KIND is an amazing acronym. It stands for Keep Inspiring Noble Deeds. I can't think of anyone that I would love to share with you that inspires noble deeds that other than wonderful Venkat Krishnamurthy. Venkat, please say hello to 356,822 people around the world.
Hello. And thank you, Barry. That was fantastic intro.
Wow. What was the last time somebody said F you to you when you laughed?
Yeah. I don't think I could say thank you after stubbing my toe, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try that. That's really funny.
Try it. Next time when you want to say some other words, say, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I'll give that a shot.
Now, if I start reading off all of the accomplishments in the bio that Venkat's mother was kind enough to send to me, then it would take the rest of the show. So I'm just going to mention 3 things. And the 3 things are, number 1, he is a devoted husband and father. And number 2, he is, at this point, co-founder of one of the most remarkably powerful and beneficial platforms in the world called Alignable, and we'll talk about that if you haven't heard about it. And number 3 is that he and his wonderful wife, they're both Southerners, by the way, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, are raising 4 kids. Actually, they're not even kids. Well, maybe they are, because the technical thing about a kid is it's a young goat that's and that's moving around and such. But there are 4 boys, and 3 of them are triplets. So, I mean, he's an unusual guy. Hello. So we're just going to dive right in and talk about, just to begin this whole process of you, Venkat, coming from Southern India and at some point coming to the United States of America, to Texas, I guess it was. Southern
California.
Sorry?
California, Sanford.
Southern California. Well, actually, you went to Northern California.
Northern California.
Yeah. Okay, you came to California. You probably went to Stanford or something like that. Yeah, we know. Yes. I just threw that in. You see how clever I am? He went to Stanford, and he was living the American dream, but not totally fulfilled, because he wasn't married with 4 kids yet, which is really part of the American dream. But he also was a person who wanted to build business. So I'm going to give this to you as a softball. Now, you might not have thought of this before, Venkat, but the word business is very fascinating. It's spelled Business, correct?
Yes.
Now, notice something about the word business. The U comes before the I. Because the essence of business is learning how to provide value for the other. When you do that, by definition, you attract people and business to you. And it's overflowing. You open up the floodgates of goodness. You can go out, you can hustle. That happens a lot, and a lot of times it succeeded. But in real business that is generational and building legacy and building ongoing things, the U comes before the I. So let's just jump right in and talk about, let's start with Alignable, and then we'll align ourselves with a few other pieces. What is Alignable, and what brought you to this idea?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. And at some point in our relationship, Barry, you've got to make something out of my name. Like you're the master of acronyms, so I need something for my name. All right,
I can do it. I can do it. We'll do it.
Right, excellent. So Alignable. Well, so Alignable is a network for small business owners. So when we say small business owners, 90% of them are 5 and under employees. So we're talking about solopreneurs. We're talking about real small business owners. But generally speaking, we have folks that are like 100 employees or less, and we are very much aligned, if you will, with the Census Bureau of the number of businesses that are small, 1-person solopreneur shops, 2 mom and pops, 5, everything. So, but really, this focus is on the small business. They don't like being called small, first of all, which is interesting, because that's not who they are. They're business owners. So, but just to clarify what it's about, it's really about serving those folks and helping them, helping really build a network that works for them. So if you think about LinkedIn, the way this business started might be an interesting way to think about it. I was actually, I'd sold a previous company to a large public company, and I was hanging out there and, feeling just somewhat unfulfilled. And at the time, I was talking to a lot of small business business owners in my community.
By the way, I want to emphasize something that Venkat just did. If you couldn't see it, but you could hear it, he caught himself because it's denigrating in some way. I mean, it's not. Nobody means it as a slur, but it's denigrating because I'm a business owner. What's the difference if I have 3 employees, 30 employees, 300 or 3 million? I'm a business owner, and I'm here to deliver service. So yes, absolutely. We're going to put in parentheses from now on the word small. Leave it aside. It doesn't exist. Business owners. You got B-O, baby.
Yes, business owner. Absolutely. And anyway, I quit my job, and I said, I'm gonna do something that helps small business owners. So, I was trying out a bunch of different things, and I was talking to the tennis coach, a restaurant, a liquor shop, nail salons, and all these different kinds of people in my community, just to sort of understand their lives. And I started building out these packages. what was interesting about it is, as I was talking to them, they all wanted to meet each other. So they'd often tell me, they'd be like, hey, Venkat, I know you're working with that liquor store across the street. Could you just introduce me to the owner? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's across the street, literally 200 yards across the street. And he said, well, I used to, I've been to the store, I've knocked on the door. I said, is the business owner here? And the response is, well, no, can I take a message? And you know why that happens? It's because they get so much solicitation that is the standard response, right? Like there's people selling them stuff all the time. So what has happened is they've retreated into their shells and they're not connected to each other. So the kitchen store down the street wasn't connected to the liquor store up the street. And it was remarkable. So I met up with my co-founder by a strange sort of happenstance. It was the next morning that I was introduced to him by a mutual friend.
Wait a minute, you had not known Eric prior to this?
No, I had not known Eric prior to this. So, people that I knew that I was thinking about business and, owners and so on and so forth. And so they were like, hey, this guy Eric's been in the same area. You should talk. And so I met him the next day and I said, hey, man, so you've been in this area a long time. What gives? Like, these guys aren't like, they don't know each other. They're just down the street. What's going on? And, so then we started unraveling that thread. We started talking to all these different business owners. And what we found was, I said, hey, don't you have LinkedIn? And they were like, yeah, what am I going to do with that? I'm not looking for a job. Right. And that was their response. And then, I was like, okay, well, chambers of commerce. Don't you guys have chambers of commerce? Don't you go meet there?
I was just about to ask you, what's the story with chambers of commerce?
Yeah. So this same guy basically said, well, I've been to every meeting in the last 6 months, but the owner of that liquor shop just doesn't show up, and then, we started unraveling that thread. What we found was there were just a lot of barriers to their networking, right? Like they wanted to meet other business owners in their community, but it was like, okay, pay me $300 to attend my little networking approach and then come meet, people. Well, the person I want to meet is not necessarily there. And there's like, nothing against insurance guys, but there's an insurance guy there who's trying to sell me insurance. And I don't really want to do that right now. And so there's just all these barriers, right? And they also weren't, it was just crazy that there wasn't something for them. So that's what we did. We started building that out. And being an entrepreneur myself, that's all I've ever done. I have sort of a very high degree of empathy for that phase of your business where you are just by yourself. Maybe you have another person or two you can talk to, but nobody really gets you, right? Like you got to put food on the table. You don't get a paycheck. You got to take care of your family. You got to do all that stuff by yourself. And it's fascinating because now we've brought this community together, and there's 7 million of them now across US and Canada.
Say that number again.
7 million.
7 million. And by the way, just to put things in perspective, you began this with your partner, Eric Groves, by the way, who was running Constant Contact, which is not a small gig.
No, it was a
very large, big business of people staying in contact through email. But you started this in approximately the year 2014.
Yes.
So 2014, now we're in 2022. So those people who are watching this in the year 21, 22, 100 years ago from now, because we'll be watching this forever because it's a great session.
Yeah.
Just be aware, in 7 years, what you've been able to do is because you thought of the you before the I.
Absolutely.
You're attracting people. And it's becoming so attractive. People say, I want to join. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. That is fair to say. It was hard it was very hard the first couple of years because business owners are inherently like, one of my friends likes to say, I think it's like Missouri, which is the show me state. He likes to say business owners are from the show me state. It's sort of like, they're not going to just accept what you give them. They want to see the value. And they're always like, yeah, are you trying to sell me something? Are you
exactly. Yeah, what's the catch? What's the catch, kid?
Exactly. What's the catch? And so it was tough for a couple of years to sort of figure out how to get this particular demographic in. But once we figured it out, it went, it just went from there. And, there's 100,000 business owners joining every month ish, organically, right? So we don't really spend any money on marketing at all, zero.
I want everybody to hear that again. Here's a company that doesn't spend money on marketing. It's called WOM, word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
There is nothing more powerful in this world when it comes to building business, and building is also the U before the I, building business, than word of mouth. Yep. It's the most reliable, the most solid, and the best, the most productive. Yes. By the way, let's take it, since we're going deeper in, tell us about this place called BNI, which seems similar.
Yeah, so there are a lot of networking organizations out there, right? So there's BNI, there's your Rotary Club, there's your Chamber of Commerce, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So BNI is it's been around for a while. It's international. The idea is that a group of people in related industries come together, one per industry. So like plumber, electrician, roofer, whatever it is, and you form what is called a referral group. And you meet in a very structured way. So the BNI system is that you meet in a very structured way once a week, for example, and you start giving each other referrals. So in a sense, it is a referral group. It's kind of contained. It's a monetary model. So each person has to pay. I don't know the numbers. I think it's like somewhere between $500 and $800 a year is kind of how much you pay. I think something like that. And that's what it is. In contrast, we are styled very much in the sort of digital first sort of approach. So you come in, it's free, right? Like you can basically network for free. You can meet other people in your community. You can join your industry group. So if you're a tennis coach, you can join all the tennis coaches in the country. If you're a caterer, you can join the catering group. And these are folks who haven't met people in their industry. So you can join those. You can create these referral groups if you wanted to as well, right? So we have paid groups. So for example, right now we're piloting a paid group, which helps businesses get government contracts, right? So that's an example. Now, the thing is, out there in the real world, if you want to go out there and figure out as a small business owner, you're yourself, okay? So you provide HVAC services and you're saying, hey, how do I get a government contract? It's really hard, right? Well, we have tens of thousands of those folks. So we are able to hire an expert and we're able to provide that service to all of these people who are interested in government contracts. So the value of a digital network is that you really break down all those barriers. You can create those BNI style referral groups. You can create your own network. So we have these ambassadors in different local communities who create free networking groups, right? So they get business owners together. And you can also have these kinds of large groups where you learn, from your peers or about something that you need to learn about. I mean, it's wild because the thing about business owners is they know their business really, really well. So if I'm a tennis coach, for example, right, I really know how to teach young kids how to get excited about tennis, right? Like that's my gift. That's what I give. But I don't necessarily know everything about how to get a loan. I don't necessarily know how to market my business on Facebook or how to reach the mothers in the community and explain to them how this is beneficial to them. And so that's really that's the power of the community, right? Like the large 7 million community, it gives them access to all of these kinds of resources, other people, et cetera, et cetera.
So let me unpack a couple of things, if I may. Go back to the idea of the chambers of commerce. And I say this with great respect and love. You see yourself as a disruptor when it comes to business. And basically what you and Eric saw was a large bloated system, I'm using these words, called, let's say, chambers of commerce, that at one time probably was innovative and that had peaked, as it were, in its ability to really serve the needs of local merchants. Let's not call them SBOs,
Yes.
local merchants.
Perfect.
And it was not serving their needs again because they forgot that the U comes before the I. They were in business to keep the chamber in business as opposed to how can I serve local merchants? And you're coming along now and disrupting, and even with BNI, which by the way was started in, I think, 1985, 1986. So therefore has been around, what, 35 years. And thank God it does very well and serves hundreds of thousands of people all around the world. But let's be blunt, in the world of digital abilities, it's a new world. And you're able to bring that new world order in the nice sense, to be able to bring that to bear so that I'll give a concrete example. FTD, what do they call it? Whatever FTD stands for, flowers delivered. Yeah. So that if you have somebody who lives in Michigan at the moment, but they have family in Acton, Massachusetts, of all places, and they want to be able to give service to the person from Michigan. That florist in Michigan contacts their counterpart in Acton, and now that place delivers the flowers and the arrangement to, let's say, somebody, whoever, I don't know who lives in Acton, but to do that. And now you share the benefit because that's what happens. You see, there's no geography. So, but that was in a time where you had telephones and things like that, or a fax machine, high end. I know. But now with digital, that can happen with the push of a button, and you're bringing together more than just florists. You're bringing together anything. Almost anything can be done. Plumbers, electricians, like you said, it's absolutely, and coaching. I mean, it's truly wonderful. This is a breakthrough, isn't it?
It is absolutely a breakthrough, right? Like the other day on one of our forums, there was a lady who had a matcha tea shop, and she just started it. She spent some money after the pandemic, which was brutal for this group of business owners, and she was just like, well, I can't seem to attract customers. Like, what do I do? She got 200 or 300 responses of people wanting to help her within the space of like a few hours, right? Now, I want to figure out how to help her, even more, like figure out coaching and like figure out other mechanisms to help people like her. But, that's just not available today, and that's wrong. And the reason why it's not available is also very interesting, okay? And this is what I realized. This is when I realized it was a massive opportunity, right? So I took this idea to one of my friends who's a venture capitalist. I'm pretty well connected in these circles. And so I talked to one of them and I said, hey, look, I'm thinking about this idea. What do you think? And he said, Venkat, start any business except something that serves small business. Right? Start any business. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, this is a great set of folks. They are entrepreneurs. This is like the American dream. Like, these are the people we should help. And he said, well, it's really hard to acquire them. Like, you're going to spend a lot of money just to acquire them. So you're going to have to build a business that charges them thousands of dollars because it's going to cost you thousands of dollars to acquire them. And that's when I knew I had something, because I was like, okay, all right. So no one's going to do this. I'm going to do this, And so,
by the way, if you're not watching this, you're missing something, because he's smiling as he says it, because he said, "Oh, wow, that is the key." Yes. My friend, who's a big VC, who knows everything, has money and such. No. Oh, yeah. Okay, more, please.
Exactly. So whenever you hear something like that, that's usually like an opportunity. That's not a negative. So, so that's part of why this doesn't exist, right? It's like, it's tough. First of all, they're from the show me state. So you got to cross that barrier. Then you got to provide the value. So then you provide enough value that they feel like referring other people to it. And that's how you grow. And then you say, okay, great. You know what? This much value is free. And if for those of you who want to pay more, there are some ways to do it. So now, we can actually create a business out of it now that we're at scale, right? So if you're an accountant, or you're a lawyer, or you're a web designer, then all your customers are on Alignable. So we can give you a great way to reach those folks and we can provide some kind of a premium membership, advertising, all these kinds of things. So at scale, we're able to now really build a meaningful business, but at the same time, keep free a lot of these basic capabilities that helps these business owners.
And by the way, the free piece it's not a bait and switch type of thing.
No.
You know, we call in our world we call it freemium, but
No.
freemium is usually, you know, we'll give you a little bit for free and then we get you in the mousetrap and get you.
Yeah.
What you're describing, I believe, because I've touched Alignable and I love it, is that a lot of it's free.
Yes.
I mean, if I didn't want to have to pay, I wouldn't have to. But, you know,
No.
I do look at for those premium services because they bring me value. You see, you've been using the V word, which is
Yes.
the first of your, we might have called that. I'm going to give you something for your name when we come back, God willing, after the break. But you mentioned the S word, scale. So when we come back from this short break, because we have sponsors that love us, we're going to be talking about scale. We're going to be talking about marriage. We're going to talk about kids, and we're going to have a lot of F you, everybody, capital N, capital N. So we'll be right back after these brief messages. Don't go away. It's more Venkat.
I'm right here.
Imagine the kind of place you would want to shop for your favorite fur baby pet. HonestPets.co. Well, you found it. HonestPets.co, not .com, .co. This is your go-to spot for the best, the cleanest pet treats that exist anywhere on the planet. All of the brands go through a rigorous review to make sure they meet the high standards of cleanliness, health benefits, and naturalness. This site was started by a husband and wife team, and it's veteran-owned, and that care about pets, especially dogs and cats, and coming soon, bird treats. These are very nice young people who really care about making a difference, because a portion of proceeds go to support veteran organizations with a focus on service dogs. This is the place where you want to go. You want to tell your friends this has the finest, yummiest, freshest, all-natural treats and stuff for your fur baby. So go there, honestpets.co. honestpets.co. Do it now. Hello, everybody. As you may know, I'm 72 and recovering from being a quadriplegic at age 55. Oh my. Now, to stay active, I swim 2 miles per day, 6 times per week. So you can imagine I know a thing or two about aches and pains. And until recently, I thought my aches and pains were a fact of life I had to deal with every day. Just part of the process of getting older and staying active. And then I tried 100% drug-free relief factor. Now, I've been taking their convenient packs 3 times a day, and I got to tell you, everybody, I am feeling noticeably better. Relief factor is giving me more oomph and less The secret is its 4 key ingredients. Each one supports a different metabolic pathway that your body uses to respond to the inflammation that is the cause of many hip, back, shoulder, and knee pains. If you have everyday aches and pains too, remember, Relief Factor is 100% drug-free and designed to be taken every day so you can get out and stay out of pain. Now, to make it as easy as possible for you to try Relief Factor, they created the 3-week quick start discounted program for $19.95. That's it, $19.95. So do what I did. Go to relieffactor.com/joy and order a 3-week quick start for yourself. You'll be glad you did. Again, claim your 3-week quick start for only $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com/joy. You'll thank me. You'll be glad you did. Best wishes. Bye now. Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved, immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. We have good in abundance. Our cup runneth over with good. An amazing being, Venkat Krishnamurthy. And by the way, everything you want to know about Venkat, just go to my site, barryshore.com. It's all going to be there. So you don't have to take any notes. Just lean in and let it all flow through you and around you. This transformative information. Go to barryshore.com. Everything about Venkat is there. You're going to love it. There's a lot to know. Venkat, by the way, stands for vibrant, enthusiastic, nurturing connections, attracting talent.
Yes, I love it. Thank you.
I did that during the break, right? Okay, because that's what you do. You inspire. This is so wonderful. And it's just, you're touching tens and hundreds of thousands of people, Venkat, around the world. There are people everywhere listening, from China, from Hong Kong, from India, throughout Africa, throughout Europe, the United States, of course, North America, South America. And there are alignable organizations, groups everywhere in the world, because what you've done with the digital platform is there are no barriers anymore. See, that's the genius. And it can be done in any language, any place, any time. It's really up to you to be able to meet that person that works across the street and do it in a gentle setting.
Yes.
I wrote a newsletter for a number of years called Co-opetition. It's very important to understand that you can compete with people and you can cooperate. The same business at different times, you may compete, you may cooperate. And that's really what, again, business is about. And you mentioned the word community. Again, I point out, community is spelled with the U coming before the I, because that's the point of a community. When you're there to be a giver and to help, you reap a benefit that's far in excess of what it is you've given. You don't do it with that thought of, oh, I'm going to give this much, I'll give that. It's the ability to share, and then the law of attraction kicks in. So let's talk about attraction. You were attracted to this wonderful woman who is your wife, and together you have 4 kids. Now, Let's talk about, because you mentioned it, and I want to talk about it. It's really interesting because you come from India, and therefore the subcontinent, and you are darker skinned than your wife, probably. She comes from southern Texas, and you have 4 boys, 3 of whom are triplets. Now that's mind expanding, let alone body expanding.
It is.
So let's talk about what it is to raise a family in a state called Massachusetts, which happens to be extremely, in my humble opinion, liberal. Yes. I know, because I came from there and I left purposely. That's a different story.
Yes.
And what it is to raise kids in today's environment, because it's not the same kind of household that you grew up in or your wife. Correct. And it really is a challenge, I believe, in many respects. Let's talk about it so that it's more than just a business show, because the real business of life is life.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, what's interesting about it is there are some very profound differences between, the India that I grew up in was 1992 and before. So it was a little bit different than it is now. So
I can't socialist, I think.
It was a little bit more socialist, right? But you talk about this idea of scarcity and abundance, right? And so we grew up with scarcity back then, right? And I hated it. I hated that idea of scarcity. And I just wanted to escape. And that's one of the reasons I came to this country. I used to read novels by American authors. Science fiction was my favorite. Isaac Asimov, I read all of his books. And then I used to read these Westerns by Louis L'Amour when I was a kid.
Wow, Venkat, you're an American.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, I just had this sort of feeling of, when I would read these books, I would just get this sense of abundance and possibility that I just never had. But, it's hard to just let go of that upbringing, right? It was always with me. And that's been one of the real interesting things. Like, if you look at a lot of Indian families in this country, they are very, okay, first of all, very well adjusted, right? But they all are battling that constantly, because their kids are growing up with abundance and possibility and self-actualization and all of these things that you can do in this country. which you couldn't actually do when we were growing up. And so I think, to me, yes, Massachusetts is very liberal. So we really never, so we were in California, we were in Massachusetts. And honestly, the only time I really felt a little bit of that sort of weirdness was when I visited Switzerland once, and we were wheeling our first baby down the road in Interlaken. And, this couple kind of looked at us with a funny face. But other than that, we have been spared all of that.
Mhm.
But the depth of it is really around how you think about life and kids. And with all my entrepreneurship and all my realization and all my self-actualization and all of this desire for abundance, that was still a big part of how I grew up, right? And so that's been, to me, the really interesting thing that my wife was bringing to the table, which is like, hey, this is an abundant place. People can do whatever. I mean, you got to work hard, right? You got to apply yourself. You got to do all these things. But that's what this country is about. You can do that. And so I think, to me, you'll hear a lot of mixed race parents talk about sort of, issues maybe they've faced and so on and so forth. My kids are very well adjusted. They've grown up in a really great place. But I would say that's been one of the biggest struggles, is really sort of fighting that upbringing, which sort of keeps telling you, oh man, like you gotta fight a little bit. You gotta it's a competition. It's all of those things. And so I would say that was one of the big, challenges.
So let me just put it into my words, and you'll see if it's true. Your sons are growing up in a much more, like you said, the abundant mindset, but in much more of a team-oriented environment, which I call together everyone achieves miracles.
Lovely.
That's what team is.
Yeah.
And that there are miracles to be seen and to be done. In other words, the world that you disrupted a particular industry. It was dominated, or the BNI, the Chamber of Commerce, even LinkedIn. But
Right.
You found your niche, and we know there's riches and niches. So you, thank God, haven't. But for them, because they're only under 20, right? Each one of them.
Yep.
Their world 20 years from now will look very different. There may well be self-driving cars that don't bump into each other.
Yeah.
Which in itself is a whole thought process.
Yeah.
In other words, the ability to just hit a button on an app or whatever it's going to look like in those days, and a car comes up because they don't have to own one. I mean, who even knows about talking like Isaac Asimov and Heinlein and such. And it sounds like science fiction, but it could be science fact, and you're proving it. See, one of the reasons I really want to speak with you and enjoy this so much is that you've proven what can be done with desire, with hard work. And like you said before, I love it when the person said, well, no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. I said, wow, light bulb, opportunity. Because that's America equals opportunity.
It is. Absolutely.
And I think
more than any place in the world.
Oh, I want you to say it again a little louder, please.
I said more than any place in the world.
Right.
It is unique.
This is unique. And we've been founded on certain values. Now, we call them Judeo-Christian values. And they're rooted in the fundamental belief that there's a creator, and that the creator is good, and that the people living in the system we call the United States of America want to contribute being good. In other words, I recognize that by being good and being a giver, obviously knowing how to receive as well, but not being a taker,
right,
is really the best part of life. And yet in other countries in the world, almost every other country in the world, scarcity breeds taking.
Yep.
Because there's only so much, right? That pie is just so little. So I need to get my share, my share, as opposed to understanding the pie is completely expansive.
Exactly.
It is enough for everybody.
Exactly. And I think, I can't speak to India post 1992. I'm seeing some amazing things happening there. So I'm really hopeful that that's how kids are growing up there as well now, because they've really, hopefully internalized those American values, because absolutely it's a much better way to live. It's just a happier, better place.
Right. Like we said in the beginning of the show, if you live a purposeful life and you go mad, make a difference, you're happier, healthier, and wealthier. Now, let's be blunt. India has over 1 billion people, so it's really
1.3 billion.
1.3 and growing. So it's difficult, or not difficult. It takes a bit of time to reach those places that are outside the hubs, we'll call it.
Yes.
And to make sure that that's part, and that may take another generation or two, but that's not the point. The point is it will keep spreading. And talk a little bit of geopolitics. India, in my humble opinion, is the greatest hope for the world outside of America.
Yeah,
it is the buffer to China, which is communist, the buffer to Russia, which is bordering on evil,
Yep.
the buffer to Iran, which has a bizarre worldview.
It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah. India is the hope
Yes.
of the world.
Absolutely.
With
Absolutely.
America and India together, it's real. And Israel, throw in Israel, which is very funny because, talk about one of the largest physical land masses in the world, India, with 1.3 billion. And you talk about a country the size of Massachusetts, by the way, that's Israel, with just, 7 million, 8 million people.
Yeah.
But Israel embodies that can-do spirit.
Yeah.
That there are no limits.
Absolutely.
And I think an alliance of America and India and Israel brings a lot to the world.
100%.
And that's why I'm just so happy you're here today, Venkat. We're talking about many different things. Let's talk about the Academy Award, because the only thing people know about the Academy is, the slap heard around the world. Let's not talk about, but I like Lexington, by the way. So inside baseball, I told Venkat, I grew up in Brookline, Massachusetts. I sold scorecards outside of Fenway Park. I am dyed in the world Bostonian. I was really born in Dorchester. So I can actually say Fenway Park, and I can park the car and all that sort of stuff. And when I was growing up, even legal seafoods didn't exist. So, that's how far back I go. I went to the first one with sawdust on the floor. But the point is that that there is the Academy. What is the Academy Award? What did you do? Tell us about it.
Yeah, so that was really interesting. It was I was doing some research for my graduate degree on how to create three-dimensional, realistic things for animation, right? And because of various contacts, I ended up talking to the folks at Industrial Light and Magic, Lucasfilm, and they ended up using that stuff that I'd done, the technology that I'd invented. They ended up using it for a variety of movies, including Star Wars.
I'm sorry, what was the name of that?
Star Wars. And it was pretty cool, right? So it was used in a ton of movies after that. And the paper was published. And so a lot of other places around the world actually just they didn't use my technology, but they used my work. And they started sort of doing this. It was really if you think about a dinosaur in Jurassic Park, or you think about a digital stunt double, in a movie, or, Gollum and Lord of the Rings, or whatever it is, the catch is, how do you make the shape really realistic, believable, et cetera, et cetera. And so I, took a process that used to take weeks and weeks and weeks. And I used sort of laser scanning and some math and all sorts of fun stuff to do that job in basically, minutes, right? So you could have hundreds of characters in a movie instead of like laboring over, one or two of them, right? And so that was the innovation. So that happened in like 95, 96-ish is around when I published the paper. And then the guys from Industrial Light and Magic came over about 9 o'clock in the evening to the graphics lab. They had me like disconnect all the computers from the Ethernet and put black curtains all around. And they came in with these boxes, and they had these maquettes of all the creatures from Star Wars Episode 1. So I actually saw all the creatures like a few years before they came out in the movie, and I scanned them in, and I helped them sort of really get them ready for prime time and all of that. And then, over time, the technology got used in a bunch of different movies. So I got the Academy Award. It was a Technical Achievement Award. I got that in 2001.
Whoa.
That was the Academy Award.
That's pretty. I mean, that's a tingle, isn't it? Hello.
It was great. It was really amazing. The most fun part of it, though, I will say, I mean, I enjoyed the programming and the math and the physics and all that good stuff, but I really enjoyed interacting with the artists and the sculptors. That was really fun. Like really, they think so differently than I do, and it was just a lot of fun. Really getting to see how their brains worked and how I could help them. That was fantastic.
That's right, because you come from the mathematical point of view.
Yes.
They were coming from the left brain point of view.
Yes.
And yet you were both creating these new images which hadn't been seen before, like you said, in record time. So
Yes.
let's ask this question. Tell me what you think about and what's happening with 3D printers.
It's amazing, like we were using back. I still have one. I created this 3D printed. There's a company called 3D Systems. It still runs. It's a public company now. And I remember I have this resin sculpture. It's downstairs somewhere. And I think it cost us I want to say like 10 grand or something like that. It was very, very expensive at the time. And that kind of thing now is like tens of dollars, That's incredible. And it's not just that, it was also fragile, right? So now the thing is, you can actually create these parts that are both cheap and they're durable. So you can actually use them for manufacturing. You can use them for all these things. It's an absolute revolution, right? It changes the game. And I've read a lot about people using it at larger scale. I don't think it's really caught on in a huge way. They're experimenting with houses and buildings and so on and so forth. So I think that's going to be super interesting. It's going to change.
And this is only today.
That's today.
I work with a number of dentists, high-end dentists who do a lot of implants and such.
Sure.
And that revolution is happening for dentists because they used to make impressions, send it to a lab. It would take usually 48 hours and when it's fast. And then they got it down to 24. And I just helped a friend of mine in Mexico, actually, has a very high-end dentistry practice. People from all over the country fly in there because it's a third of the price of the United States, but the quality is the same because it's just equipment, right?
Right.
And they're now using a 3D printer, and it takes them what used to take 24 hours, and that was great. It's now taking an hour and a half.
That's amazing.
And less expensive.
That's
so
less expensive.
See, the answer of America is, in my humble opinion, I've been teaching this for many, many years, is called FBC, faster, better, cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
When you can do things faster, better, and cheaper, by definition, you'll be attracting people to you.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that what it's about?
It is. That's what it's about. And it opens up possibilities, right? That's the thing. When things that were taking you, so an artist in this case would have taken, let's say, 4 to 6 weeks to work on this one creature. And now they're doing that within hours. Well, that just freed up 4 to 6 weeks of their time. So now they can be more creative and they can start adding a ton of value, right? That's what the FBC does, is it just opens up a lot of potential to do more and more. And that's why it just keeps building on itself, right?
This is one of the reasons I am just so overjoyed that we're talking, because I see you as the bridge. As I said, America, India, we'll throw in Israel just because it's, a little spice and such. But the point is that when you have 1.3 billion people, even if only a third of the population is freed from the shackles of thinking scarcity.
Yes.
So now you're talking the same population of the United States of America, hundreds of millions of people who are thinking opportunity, and they're all digital natives because most of the people are younger. They don't know what a rotary phone is. They don't know what a phone is with a cord. They're digital natives. They were raised with this, so they can now have the abundance mindset, and they can do ABC: abundance, bountiful, and creative.
Love it.
And that's really what you're bringing to the table. I mean, this is what Alignable is all about. You're aligning these values that are quintessential American, let's be blunt, not European. These are American values that many throughout Europe, I'd say close to 25% of the European population longs for.
Yeah.
But their governments, okay, we're not going to get into geopolitics this one, we'll do another show. But the American system of, like you said, opportunity, abundant mindset, possibility. Hello.
Exactly.
And if you stumble and you fall, big deal.
Yes, exactly. That's the other big thing I love about this country is that you stumble and you fall, big deal. Stand back up, do it again.
Right. Matter of fact, we want you to stumble and fall. Hey, if you haven't fallen, what good are you?
Yeah, exactly. And that's just part of the culture, right? I mean, that's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit hesitant to tell you that we're coming close to the end of our hour together.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So here's what I'd like to do, with your permission, even without maybe. I'm going to ask you 3 questions.
Okay.
And then we'll finish this part up. So the first question is, you ready?
Yep.
Will you come back again?
Absolutely.
Woo! Thank you. The big A. Number 2, you have only 80 seconds to answer this, Venkat Krishnamurthy. What is your most fervent desire? 80 seconds.
Oh, my most fervent desire is for American-style freedom and abundance to be worldwide.
That's wonderful. I want you to write that down after the show.
Okay.
Because I don't think anybody's ever asked you the question, and
No.
you were clear, concise, and compelling. Thank you. Now,
Absolutely.
Are you ready for a hug in front of 358,222 people around the world?
I don't know how we're going to do it, but okay.
I'll show you. Hey, this is digital. And I'm going to tell you what HUG stands for. Ready? Heartfelt, unlimited giving.
Excellent.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. You've been listening to The Joy of Living with your humble host, Barry Shore, and our amazing guest, Venkat Krishnamurthy. And on this show, as you know, we talk about the 3 fundamentals of life, which are your life has purpose. You lead a purpose-driven life. You go mad like he did. He's a madman. You make a difference. And the third is to unlock the power and the secrets of everyday words and terms like www, what a wonderful world. And the result will be that you will be happier, healthier, and wealthier. Who doesn't want that? You will be able to use the word smile, seeing miracles in life every day, as my 8-year-old niece says, seeing miracles in everyday life. You'll be able to create the kind of world you want to live in, causing rethinking. That's what Venkat did, causing rethinking, enabling all to excel. And we urge everybody to use 4-letter words. Remember, in the positive, purposeful, powerful world, the 4-letter words are love, life, hope, free, swim, play, pray, grow, gift. Those are 4-letter words. And the greatest one, I think, is fun. F-U, capital N, capital N. So after the show, you see your family and friends say, what did you hear on that show? He said, well, this guy wants to teach the world to F-U. Capital N, capital N. It'll be a good way to start a conversation about business, the U before the I, and opportunity, and thinking abundance, and never, never, never being afraid to do anything. This is the United States or India or Israel or anywhere in the world. Go forth and live exuberantly. So remember to use the 2 most powerful words in the English language 3 times a day, even when you stub your toe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, to harmonize and network kindness. So a prayer and a blessing for everybody from Venkat and Barry is the following. Go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Venkat, don't go away, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Joy of Living podcast. Now that's another step towards your healthier, happier, and wealthier life. Never hesitate to do good in the world, no matter what the situation. Join us for another upbeat discussion next time at barryshore.com. And be sure to leave a rating and subscribe to the show to get more conversations like this. And remember to share it with your family and friends too. See you on the next episode.